Welcome to Season 2 of Healing the Tigress, a podcast of conversations and stories on Asian American Pacific Islander maternal mental health. We are your hosts, Peggy, a perinatal mental health therapist,
and Jasmine, a clinical pharmacist who is perinatal mental health certified. As Taiwanese American mothers who lived through postpartum depression and anxiety, we felt like we didn't hear about other AAPI mothers struggling with their mental health in new motherhood. But we knew it couldn't just be us.
So we created this podcast because we hope that sharing these stories can start to break the stigma of mental health in our community and help heal the inner tigress in all AAPI parents. Welcome back to Healing the Tigress. We are so excited to kick off Season 2 with this next guest. One of the things we really wanted to make sure to do on Healing the Tigress was to be as inclusive as possible of all of our AAPI folks' stories. And that means we also want to make sure we highlight stories of LGBTQ parents as well. So to kick off Season 2, we have the honor of having our first guest who is a gay father who has newborn twins through surrogacy.
Our guest today is Henry Tieu, who many of you may know because he is a very popular wedding photographer whose work I've actually followed for a while on Instagram at Henry's Diary. And when Henry announced the news earlier this year that he and his partner would be fathers soon to twin stars, I was just overjoyed for him. And though through some cosmic connections of a fellow travel blogger, a friend who actually used Henry as her wedding photographer, we were able to connect and invite Henry onto our podcast to talk about the experience of surrogacy. So, Henry, would you please tell our listeners a little bit more about your background, including how you became an elopement and wedding photographer, as well as your cultural background for some context?
Yeah, hello, and hi, Jasmine. Hi, Peggy. I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for having me. I am Vietnamese American. I first came to America as an exchange student when I was 15, all by myself. My parents somehow like, hey, he got it. He can go to America and stay with an American host family in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. And from that, I finished high school in Oklahoma, then to Idaho, and then moved on to Seattle for college. And I went for nursing. So I started working as a nurse for about 3 years when things got a bit dark and heavy, just because I did cardiac ICU. I became a charge nurse. So every night that I work, there was a lot of cold blues and things that I have to handle inpatient. And so one day I just felt the heaviness of it. And I told my husband that I think we need just to go outside, just to do something in nature, I need some of that nature therapy. And from that, we started hiking around Mount Rainier National Park. I started taking photos, got really frustrated about, oh my goodness, like how was it that I saw the way that these colors look, but now on my camera, it did not look like that at all. So I started learning how to edit photos. And that was the birth of my photography career. When I started, it was just a hobby. I didn't think I was going to do anything crazy with it. But for some reason, people started booking me for their newborn sessions, maternity photos, engagement photos, and then eventually wedding started happening. And that's how I became a photographer.
I really love, I think it's just like your photos, the way they tell stories, they just evoke so much emotion that I feel like that's probably what people are drawn to. And I think the most recent one in Alaska that I saw, I was like, oh my gosh. And you just have all these epic ways of capturing moments, and it's just so raw. I think maybe that's what people are kind of drawn to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing a little bit about that. And I'd love to hear how you and your husband decided that it was time to embark on this journey of parenthood. For many LGBTQ parents, the road to parenthood is often really not conventional, and there's a lot of hurdles along the way. So how did you guys decide, first of all, when to start, and then how did you decide on, say, surrogacy versus other options of like, adoption or
Right.
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. So as of right now, we've been married for 10 years, which is a whole decade. I mean,
Congrats.
Congratulations.
thank you. I joke with him all the time that in the gay world, when you're married for 10 years, you have to think in like dog year. You have to multiply by like 3 or 4. So we're basically geriatrics in the world of of gay couple being married. But jokes aside, I think the conversation about us having kids started about 5 years ago.
Wow.
I think earlier on in the relationship, we knew that family it's something we really value. When we first came out, unfortunately, we didn't get the acceptance that we were hoping from our family, but everything's okay now. But like looking back about that 10 years ago, we didn't have the support we needed. And so family by choice was something we really value. We needed our community, we needed our friends, we needed the people in our life that support us and really show us that we are loved and we are totally okay about who we are. And so 5 years in, we knew that we really want to continue to grow this community by having one kid. Just one is enough. And we did not care whether it was adoption or surrogacy, because for us, love is not by blood. I think we bonded by love more than bonded by blood. And so we looked into adoption, we looked into surrogacy. At one point, we sort of gave up on both dreams just because they're both so costly.
Mhm.
They're not, both options are not something that you can just, hey, let's just do it and just get it. Like it's something that you really have to invest your time, your energy, and a lot of money. We sort of gave up on that dream about 2 years ago ish, when we just realized things get so expensive to do anything. And with both of us are being self-employed, we don't have any benefits from work. We don't have any special insurance, anything that can help us out. If we wanted to do anything, it would have been from our own pocket the whole entire journey. And it wasn't until one night, I think it was just fate, that I stumbled upon a Facebook post from someone who's sharing that, hey, like we have kids. And from that one Facebook post, I joined 10 different Facebook groups. I was just like deep diving into this rabbit hole of just like, oh my gosh, so there are other couples out there who are also self-employed or don't work crazy jobs that give them a lot of money, but they can still pursue this dream. And that's when I learned about international surrogacy, especially in Mexico. And that was the route that we went for. That we saw that, oh, this is something that we can actually like take our 401k out and pay for this journey.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I feel like. It's so hard when, I mean, having children is costly in general, but the extra steps and the extra costs of having to find a surrogate and paying for so much of that out of
Right.
pocket too. And it sounds like the choice to go international was both a financial decision. And what is that whole process of like you decided, okay, we're going to do one overseas or in another country. What did you do next?
Yeah, so there was a lot of vetting on my end. My At this point, my husband didn't know that I was still deep diving into all of these Facebook groups. I honestly reached out to so many couples. I messaged them on Facebook. I gave them my cell phone. I started texting people, talking with them on the phone, just to see how was your experience with this agency? How was your experience with this country for surrogacy as well? And I got lots of information back. And with us living in America, it was a lot of fear in the beginning that when you talk about an international medical procedure, about anything, there's sort of that heaviness on your shoulder about, is this real? Is this legit? Is it something that's going to yield good results, or are we going to run into some sort of issues later on? And after talking to so many different couples about their experience, I decided that I think there's one agency in Mexico is trustworthy and we should go with that. So I brought that up to my husband. It's almost like a PowerPoint presentation without the actual PowerPoint. I was sharing with him all the pros and cons and what I've learned, and really, hey, like take a look at this. I think this is really like doable. This is something that we can actually do. Knowing my husband as well, he went on his own separate research. He started doing his own thing, and it took us about a week to come back together again, and was like, this is it. Like, I think we should go ahead and just do this. We reached out to that one agency that we really trusted, and we started speaking with their representative. It's actually a US-based company that have offices in Mexico. And so it's not just an international company that is not located within the US. We started talking with them. We signed all the contract and submitted our retainer fee. And then later on, it was more of getting to know them, flying down to Mexico to deposit our sperm, get connected with the surrogate mother, and also look through our options for egg donors as well.
Wow, that sounds like a big journey, like in a whirlwind, just like a lot of new things all at once.
Yeah.
I imagine like you have to think like legal, you have to think financial, you have to think, just
Yes.
across US versus Mexico. Was there ever any like worry that like, I mean, does a surrogate ever get to say like at the end, never mind, I want to keep this baby?
Right, right. So the fear, the anxiety, and everything that you share so far, that was heavy on our minds the whole entire journey. I think you keep doubting yourself and doubting your decisions all the time, just because the circuit is so far away. It's a different country, it's a different language, and of course, like, different countries have different laws and requirements, and so we had those fears for so long that it got so exhausting that by the time when we enter third trimester, we're done being worried. Like, it's so, like, I think the first trimester, just to back up a bit, that the successful IVF journey that we had with the twins, that was our second round.
Okay.
We did have a first round of IVF from a different egg donor, a different surrogate mother, and that was the transfer was failed. And so from that experience alone, anytime we get an email back or some news back, we always hold our breath and would feel like, is this a good news email or is it another one that would just break our heart?
Yeah.
And so right from the moment that we learned our HCG level was really good, we sort of celebrated, but we couldn't really celebrate it out loud. Was like, yes, but then don't keep your hopes up, like, just in case. And then the minute we got our heartbeats ultrasound, we're like, oh my goodness. But then at the same time, we're like, oh, hold on a minute. Like, don't celebrate too much. And then we get another email say, actually, you have 2 heartbeats instead of 1. And like, oh, so, like every time we get one step forward of being so excited about something, there's something within us that just sort of pull us down and just say, it's okay. Like, celebrate, but keep an eye out just in case something happened. And so, there's that thing that we couldn't be 100% happy just because there was that fear that was attached to every single good news. And so by the time we get into third trimester, we're like, we have been holding down for so long. Now is the time to actually like celebrate life moments, because when you look back, actually, like with my background, with seeing people dying in the cardiac ICU, seeing people celebrate the most happiest days of their lives on wedding days, I look back in my own life and I don't want to miss out on moments. I think what the whole point of this whole lifetime is short-lived moments that you have on this earth. And if we don't celebrate it, it's almost like sands in your hands that just fall through the cracks of your fingers, even though you try to hold on so tightly. And so by the time we hit third trimester, we started doing our pregnancy announcement. We started doing our gender reveal just for between the two of us and our family, we started doing all the thing. And that's when I think that was when I announced officially on my business page, on my social media, that, hey, we're having kids.
Wow.
Your whole journey really sounds like the same thing. Like we've had mothers on the podcast who went through IVF, and it's that same like, I want to celebrate, but I'm scared, and there's just back and forth of the fear because you get excited and then you lose that. And I don't think people think about enough of what it's like to go through that as a surrogate, because they just think, oh, but you're not the one injecting yourself. You're not the one doing it. But it's still, you're putting in so much emotional weight to like, this could be our future child or not. And like the
Right.
hope going up and the hope going down and the hope going up, that seesaw. I can imagine how much relief, like we made it to the third trimester. I feel like all of us, when we were pregnant, like we made it to the third trimester, we can finally really step into like, oh my gosh, we're going to be dads. And that's like, it gives me chills,
Yeah.
Well, like, and you mentioned, like, this sounds similar to some of our moms that have talked about their IVF journey, but I also feel for like the moms that have had miscarriages, because it's like they've lost something, and so they feel like they can't hope, they can't get too excited because the sadness of losing the baby was also too great to have to compensate for, right? So so it's like, until the baby's in my arms, I just feel like, is this even real, right?
Right.
So and you guys had a loss too, technically. Like you had the other loss, and it's like no amount of money or like words can like make that sort of pain go away.
Right.
And for you guys, like you kind of forfeit that money and time too that you've spent doing that. So there's another layer on top. And something else that like I had talked with a friend who also used a surrogate, but I think they used it in the US. And he said that there was like a mandated mental health screening for intended parents. Did you guys have to go through anything like that? Some sort of screening for mental health?
So for international surrogacy, especially with this agency, they didn't screen us for that part. So there was no screening on our end for mental health part.
Okay, yeah, I imagine it's like maybe it's a lot stricter within the US.
Right.
And I'm actually curious, if you don't mind maybe giving a rough like idea, how much more expensive is it in the US?
Yeah, so we did our research, and it's a lot of location based as well. So when you think about metropolitan cities like Seattle, LA, Chicago, New York, your surrogacy cost could be anywhere between $175,000 up to about $250,000, and nothing is guaranteed.
Does that even include IVF?
That's include, IVF. It includes a lot of it. Actually, when they break it down, it goes into the legal paperwork. When, with surrogacy as well, you want to think about the surrogate mother. When she carries a child, she will not need to stop working at a certain point. And so you need to think about supporting her and her family as well. And as you can see, cost of living in America, especially those big cities, can increase the overall cost. And I do live, in Seattle. And so that's the reason why it can be quite expensive for us. Versus for something like in Mexico, it is about half the amount that we would have paid if it was here.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. And that makes sense. There's the cost of supporting somebody else, maybe even just legal fees too.
Right.
Yeah. I know that there's, so there was the elimination of that barrier. And as you've been doing your research, it's like, how many hurdles do we have to cross? Because again, as we've said before, with LGBTQ parents, there's going to be a lot of hurdles to becoming parents. And you mentioned one in our pre-interview of the language barrier. I'm assuming neither of you speak Spanish, but were there any other barriers that you and your husband encountered during this process? Do you feel like you experienced any discrimination in the process of becoming parents?
I think the first barrier that we really felt was really there's not a whole lot of resources out there that we can look up and learn about how exactly to become parents, especially same-sex parents that are going through this journey. And so, YouTube is great, but there's not a whole lot. There might be a video, an interview that, you know, some like maybe ABC or some sort of news channel interview these couple like 6 to 10 years ago. So the information is no longer relevant. Then I started looking on social media such as Instagram, TikTok, and most of the time it's about seeing another same-sex couple with their children, but more like the entertainment content instead of educational content, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's really great to actually see representation. Like, it actually gives me hope when I see these videos and like, oh my goodness, this family is so cute and they're doing this and doing that. And it really helped me understand that one day I can get there. But for today, there wasn't a whole lot that I could like tune in to really learn about this process. Now, the hurdle for us doing an international surrogacy that we felt like was heavy, the heaviest part was actually the immigration process, because they're technically born in a different country, and we have to really make sure we can get their US citizenship so that they can fly back into the United States. So that was the part that we constantly have to look up information, talk to many different agencies, and prepare our paperwork for the application.
Wow. Did you feel like that was harder because you were a same-sex couple too?
Part of it, yes. Just because when you talk about because Mexico is a Catholic country, right? And so when we do our surrogacy in the country, a lot of time we didn't want to walk around and make it look like we are a same-sex couple. We just want to keep it to ourselves, take care of our babies, go from the hospital back to our Airbnb. We didn't want to take the kids out to a local restaurant and show that, hey, we are a gay couple, because we just don't know how people might react. Working with the US consulate was actually good. There was no concern there. But the process of how do we go from our place here to the US consulate, which was our surrogacy agency was in Cancun, and the US consulate was about 3.5 hours away. So that was navigating how to book a service that could take us there, find a place to stay, fighting all the places to get, like printing out paperwork, take passport photos. All of that was a little bit of things that we have to keep in mind when we go around.
How long did it take from the babies being born to you being able to bring them back home to the US?
For us, it was exactly 3 weeks, which is really lucky. Like extreme. That's
shorter than I thought.
Yeah, it's shorter than we thought as well. Because going in, we planned on being there for anywhere between 1 to 2 months. But we were really lucky that the minute they were born, we went and applied for an appointment right away, and there was an availability within 2 weeks. And so we claimed that appointment right away, took them to the US consulate, got their passports that same day. And then we just wait a couple more days to pack up to make sure everybody feels ready to go, especially this is their first flight home, and they were only 3 weeks when they flew home. Yeah.
Did you feel like it was even more to handle because you had twins? Because like you guys are first time parents and like flying for the first time, flying with 2 kids for the first time, newborns. I'm like thinking, I took my first flight with my daughter when she was 4, and I mean there's a pandemic, but still, like, how was that?
You only know what you know, right? So we didn't have the experience of having 1 kid ever, and so for us, that this is all we know, like having 2 kids, waking up every 3 hours to feed them, then navigating through all of this is all we do. And so it's even, I can't even compare because I don't have the experience of doing anything else. True. And one thing that I noticed with what my husband and I too is when we do something, although sometimes we feel the anxiety from it, we go all in. we usually, that's how we've been living our life the last 10 years as a married couple. That's how we started this elopement photography journey, where we travel internationally to like these countries that we had never been to before, to photograph elopements, even though it's raining or snowing or a windstorm. Like we just go all in no matter what. And so I think that experience really helped us into becoming parents, is that you can't go halfway in. You have to just do it, and then things will just work out. And we have to keep thinking that way, because we don't have any other options of thinking any other ways.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And I think it's a reminder a lot of people have, is like, this is kind of all I know right now,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I
all I
really don't have
know.
anything else to compare it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I gotta say though is that we do acknowledge and know that we have this privilege, that we aren't moms who just gave birth and now have to deal with all of this, because I think that would make things really, really hard. Like you just went through a whole crazy medical procedure in order to give birth, and you would hope that you have time to rest, but no, you go straight into like breastfeeding or feeding and taking care of a baby while you're trying to heal and navigate all of this stuff. Versus for us, we don't have to, think or worry about postpartum on our bodies. We did have to, think about it and care for our surrogate mother. Like we wanted to make sure that she heals okay, and that she's can go home to her family as well, and not because of this, birth that can cause something to her bodies. That was something that was on our mind. But physically, we didn't have to go through that. So I think in a way we're very privileged in order like that. I think that's the reason why we could take care of two babies at the same time and not feel like we were dying.
I appreciate you acknowledging that about what women go through.
Yeah,
So,
it's huge.
yeah, thank you. And there's also a lot of heteronormativity in parenting circles, like, whether it's just a lot of mom resources,
Mhm.
or just, showing up to appointments and your doctors assuming you're, a heterosexual dynamic between parents. And I think we even learned during some of our trainings that 98% of publications are very like mom centric when it
Mhm.
comes to parenting, mom centric languages when it comes to parenting materials. And my same friend that I told you, who also recently had a child through surrogacy, said like he felt like the language at the hospital, when they were at the hospital with their surrogate, um, when the nurses were addressing him, they just seemed a little bit reductive or not very inclusive of him and his partner, and
Mhm.
everything centered on like moms, like, where's mom, or like, well, can I talk to mom, or like, so what are some maybe microaggressions you may have encountered as new parents in this space for parents? And then the second part is like, do you think being of Asian background adds another layer to it?
Yeah, that's a really good point. You're right. Like, I think right when we started like learning how to take care of babies overall, I think YouTube was the first thing that we went to. We attend some classes here and there, but I think YouTube was the very first place that we went for resources. And yeah, a lot of videos would start with "Hey moms," and you just have to, for us, we just have to scroll past that, because the whole point of this video is for us to learn and not for us to be like, hey, like I'm a parent too. Like not there are just dads only out there, and I didn't feel the need to make a comment on someone's video just because they still give out good in like educational content. I'm just one person voicing my opinion here, and so we just watched the video. I think we noticed this when we took the twins out, just to take them outside, just so that we could be outside, just to feel like we could do normal things. So we took them to the mall, and we would go with our friends who is a straight couple. That was, so basically there's a straight couple, there's a gay couple, and then two babies on strollers. And everywhere we would go, like the first thing people would assume was my good friend was the mom. Like they would come up and say congratulations to my friend. um, And I would compare that experience to just my husband and I take the kids on a stroller to the mall. So it's just two guys, and we have never had anyone would come up and be like, congratulations, or asking questions. Or so it's almost like if you zoom out and just watch the two scenarios happen right in front of you, you can, like, I could see that, oh, like we don't get to experience that feeling that a hetero couple would go out and like would receive all of these love from people because you have a brand new baby, versus for us, people might not know what to say, and so they don't say anything. uh, and it's not something that would, you know, change our life dramatically. But it's just one of those things where you take a moment and pause, and you would notice that the tiny little things in the society are still not ready for gay couples to have kids. Yeah, so I felt that.
Yeah.
And with being Asian as well, I think that was another thing that you ask, is that, you know, I think in the Asian community, moms are known for the person who take care of everything. um, we had some older relatives that when we share with them that we were expecting babies, they did not mean anything ill-intended, but the way that it came across was they felt bad that these kids don't have moms to take care of them, that the kids might lack that, you know, motherly figure, a protective warm embrace from a mom in order for babies to grow as normal human beings. And so um, but that was just something that people said here and there. We've been in the wedding industry long enough where we see discriminations for same-sex queer couples all the time, so we know where to channel and find our support, and how to really like tune things out when we have to.
Yeah, I've been in some like quote unquote moms groups that I've been working on language and being more inclusive and saying things like don't call people mama, like when you address the group, like it's parents, to be more
Mm.
inclusive. And I do think there is attempts to be more inclusive, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still, we have a long way to go. And that can be really hard, to be having such a joyous experience in your life and not have, you know, people come up to you like, oh, what are their names, how old are they, as much because they're like not sure how to approach the
Right, right.
dads, you know. And it's like, you're still very worthy of having those exciting moments as well. um,
Yeah.
and I think that's one thing that we as like provide, like when in our trainings too, is like we got to watch our mom centric language, because
Mm.
whether it's two dads, whether it's a single dad, whether it's trans mom, like there's different languages that we have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will have to say, uh, my dad was more of a motherly figure than my
Mm.
mother was. He
Mm.
did all the cooking, the
Yeah.
laundry, you know, packed our foods, dropped us off at school kind of thing. So just saying to the older Asian generation, you know, it's
Yeah.
not all moms.
Yeah.
And it's not to say I had a bad mom. I love my mom. But,
Right,
you
right.
know, the roles don't have to be so
Mm-hmm.
defined. And just
Right.
because you don't have a certain gender as a parent doesn't mean that that person
Right.
cannot provide the same amount of love. Like a
Mm-hmm.
hug is a hug. I don't care who I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting, right? Like if
Yeah.
a
Mm-hmm.
parental figure is giving me a hug, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
mom or dad. It's the same.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And you think back to like multi-generational families, there's multiple different attachment figures in people's lives. It doesn't have
Right.
to be binary, like it has to be one mom or a dad, like they're
Mm-hmm.
getting love,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I was born in Vietnam, and I didn't move to America until I was 15. And so that multi-generational household thing, that was how I was raised. My parents were busy, tried to, you know, make just enough money to raise us. And so, it's a different time, it's a different era, it's a different everything. And so growing up, I needed my uncles and my aunts, and I would call them, I'm Vietnamese, as in the Vietnamese language, we would call my aunt like ma, which is like mom-ish. And so in Vietnamese, you also have those numbers, like the eldest is like the number 2, right? So it's ma hai, which mean like the auntie, second auntie, but she's the eldest, the oldest one. And so I call all of my aunties moms because they help raise me. Same with my uncles as well.
Just back to the more mom centric language and resources out there. I also have a friend who's a gay dad, and his husband, they went through adoption. And I remember meeting up with them. We were going out to dinner when their little one was just a baby. They have like 3 now. They're just really rocking it. But partway through dinner, his husband's like, I got to go change the baby's diaper. And like shuffling the baby to the bathroom, only to, find out that there was no changing table in the men's bathroom, and even attempt to try to get the bigger stall, the handicap stall, to try to change a baby. The handicap stall was taken. And so he ended up having to just like change the baby standing up, and he came back out all flustered. I had to change the baby standing up because there was no changing table. And I hear this a lot from LGBTQ parents who are fathers, that the resources in society are just not set up to support dads. Have you, now that you've brought the babies home and you're watching them grow, and have you seen this play out in your current parenting journey, like just limitations out and about? So we've talked about just kind of more of the other piece, but like when you need the resources, has it been a little bit more limiting?
Well, so as of today, they're only about 9 weeks old. So we haven't really taken them out like too much just yet. We just wanted to take them out just enough so they could see like the sunshine and see things around them. Whenever we take them to places like bigger cities like Bellevue, Seattle, in the state of Washington where I live, then bigger places like that, like newer restaurant, they have changing tables and all that. But I gotta say, yeah, ever since I became a dad, that's what I look for whenever I go to places. Like I started noticing things. I remember like flying on the airplane before the babies were born. I would go to the bathroom and be like, is there really a changing table in here? Because for however many years of my life flying, I've never seen one. And then the minute you started paying attention, you're like, oh, okay, it's like hidden in this corner and you can open it, right? But because I started paying more attention, I started paying more attention whenever I go work in remote places as well. So my line of work, I would go to national parks. I would go to small town, beautiful nature places, which also mean there's not a whole lot of places that you can go for convenience. And so you're right, like some of those small towns, some of those other places, when I would go to a restaurant and whatnot, it's hard. Like there's nothing like that in the men bathroom. I didn't go to the women bathroom to see like if there's one in there. So in my head, I just assume this place don't have it. But I gotta think about, like there must have been babies in this restaurant before. There gotta be something for them. It's just not in the men's restroom.
Have you brought the babies with you to any like weddings that you've photographed since they've been here?
Not yet. Okay. That's the goal. That's really what I want to start doing. We travel and we want to introduce them to the world of travel as well. I'm still in that mindset of like I'm a Papa Bear right now with like the world is dangerous. There's rise of RSV and COVID right now. And so we try not to take them out too much until they get a little bit older so that their immunity system is getting a little bit better before we can take them to really further out places. Because some of my wedding work, I would be in places that have no cell signal, no Wi-Fi. So I want to make sure that they are good until I can take them out. I don't want to risk them just yet. But that's the goal.
That's smart. I think that's smart.
And as a business owner, are you on a self-imposed paternity leave right now, then giving yourself plenty of time to just bond with the babies and not have to think about work?
Right. So it is a bit tough this year. I'm not gonna lie. When the first round of IVF that we did, we plan on blocking calendars of just not working from these certain months. So I could be home. And then when that failed attempt happened, we tried again, and we told ourselves that we can't block calendars anymore. Like both of us are self-employed, and if we don't work, we don't have an income. We don't have any PTOs that we could rely on, support from anything else. And so my husband decided to take this whole year off. So he's totally 100% full time with the twins all the time. And we also have help from our parents. And my brother-in-law is also with us all the time to help keep an eye out, so that we can get some sleep. With me, however, just because the wedding season is happening like right now in the middle of summer, and so unfortunately I cannot take any time off at the moment. But my goal is just this whole winter, when it's cold and rainy out, no one's going to go outside and get married. And that's when I'm going to stay at home like 100% with them. So I hang out with the kids, with the twins whenever I can. Like this past week, I would go photograph until sunset is about like 8 p.m. By the time I get home, it might be like 10 to 11. And then I would do that dream feed at 10 to 11. And then like about 4 or 5 a.m., they would wake up again. And then I would help my husband with changing, feeding, and then take a quick nap before I go to work again the next day.
Wow, and I imagine it's harder because you have to like feed two, so you have to like also time like both of them at the same time. I don't think we have anyone on yet that has had twins, yeah. Peggy. So
I know. I was thinking like dream feed at this time, but then once you put down one, does the other one wake up? Yeah. Do they wake up each other? Like,
actually, you'll be surprised. They're pretty good about keeping them to themselves. Like even if one is crying, the other one's sleeping through the sound machine. I think the sound machine is the part that helps a lot. Earlier, it was tough. It was tougher earlier on for sure. Within that first month, they were still learning how to drink and how to suck, how to swallow. And so each baby took us for anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour to feed a baby. Wow. And so you can see how it would take an hour and a half just to get all of that done. And then an hour and a half later, you start the whole process again. So that first month was rough, but right now they're doing amazing.
That's good. Nice.
They have a rhythm now.
Yeah.
I think it takes a few weeks definitely to get them into that rhythm. So
yeah.
You also mentioned that it was, you were so excited to share with the online community that you were expecting twins.
Yeah.
And you also did have to read through some kind of nasty comments, which made you and your husband both kind of scared for your children's, like they were unborn at that time, even your unborn children's safety. So, what are some of the ways you have found helpful in dealing with negativity?
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, what were some of the more surprising positive reactions you received?
Oh, yeah. So when I first started doing my, so to back up a little bit, my Instagram account used to be private because I worked in healthcare. I didn't want my patients to just look up my name, like, who is this ICU nurse that's taking care of me tonight? And then look me up and see all the information about me. I didn't feel the need to talk about my gender, sexuality, my private life to a patient that I'm taking care of tonight. Healthcare is healthcare, no matter who you are. And so when I first started opening up my social media to public so that I could run my photography business account, it almost felt like I had to come out again. I think part of being queer, being gay, being in the community is that coming out is just not a one-time thing. Coming out is constant. It's anytime you meet a new person, a new job, and for me, it's new clients. And so when that first happened, I remember vividly, I was like trying to build my business and I was at like 500 followers. I posted a photo of my husband and I. The next day, I lost like more than half the amount of followers. Numbers don't matter for us, but I think at that time I was so new that I felt like if I'm trying to build something and I keep losing followers, how can I even pursue photography? And so part of me had to come back into the closet and hide that part of my life. Don't talk about it. If people ask, I'll tell, but it's not something that I should mention and share with people like the first time I meet people. Then eventually I realized that, I'm with someone on their wedding day for 10 to 12 hours. They really need to be comfortable with who I am in order for them to be comfortable with who they are, in order for me to capture real and honest emotions and moments for their life. And so I started posting more LGBTQ content, photos about my husband and photos of my husband and I when we travel, when we do things, so that other LGBTQ couple out there see that it gets better, that there's a future for us, that I also deserve love and deserve marriage and a life that is, like meaningful with my partner. And so we learn to really filter out nasty negative comments. We receive them all the time. It's almost like one of those things where I do, like if I post like 5 different Instagram posts and I would gain all of these followers because they see my work, that I travel and go to these beautiful places, I purposely have to include an LGBT couple in there just so that whoever wants to unfollow, do it right now. Like I have to do that in order to like keep the people who want to be there with me there, instead of just like random bots or people who don't care. Yeah. But then it hit personally when I share about the twins coming, and it was more like, oh my goodness, like these babies are at that moment, at that time, was unborn, like not born yet. Yet the world was already cruel to them. Like part of being gay and having kids too is I don't want my kids to grow up and have to explain themselves about anything. Like they don't have to explain themselves, and I don't want to put them through that. And the first thing I thought about when we learned that we were going to become dads was, do they need to grow up and tell their friends that, oh, I have 2 dads, and then they would have to do more of what having 2 dads mean. That might be a conversation or my mindset might change, and a conversation I will have with them when they're ready. Maybe the world is different by then, but right now in this moment, looking at the comments that people say, like the emoji of like throwing up and saying whatever, it hit you. Like, even though I have all these years of like training myself to not look at comments, I try not to look at comments whatsoever, because I know how the world of social media can be, but I couldn't help myself. I almost feel like I want to protect these these tiny souls, that they deserve nothing but love. And so what's really like the one thing that I got from all of that too is I started seeing people fighting alongside with me. That I see people who, would see these negative comments and then would go in and be like telling these people, like, do you not have anything else going on in your life, that you have to say things like this to other people, or just have my back and just like share things and reach out, like sending messages, DM, like all of that actually means a lot. I think it's just something about our human being is that you can have like 1,000 love notes, 1,000 people say you're amazing, your work is beautiful, I'm so happy for you. You have that one negative comment, and it's just like lingering in the back of your head. It's just like there all the time. But I have to really just like, okay, look at these people, look at these amazing people who like have our backs. And what's really fun about doing all of this right now too is I was scared about sharing too much about our babies, that like they deserve the right to privacy as well. And so we try not to share too much. Like, we're okay with sharing their names, one photo here and there, but we don't talk about anything else about them at all. Just enough so that the world know that we are one family. And ever since I've been sharing about our family, I've been attracting more clients out there who might have been together in the unconventional way, in the way that, they've been together having kids already, but now they're getting married. Like, they don't follow that traditional timeline of like getting married and have kids, but they now see that there's a parent out here that running his business and understand the importance of life moments of raising kids and preserving like what's really important in this lifetime. And I started getting more of those clients lately, and it's been really fun because I'm so excited to photograph elopements and weddings that couples actually have their kids there as well, because I think it's a different story to tell, and those stories deserve to be told as well, just because they're a bit underrepresented at the moment.
Yeah, I think you said it best earlier too. You said like this representation matters and you get to kind of pioneer that. And you're definitely not the first queer parents who have babies through surrogacy. But I think when you think about your industry and the type of people you do want to attract, you don't need those how many people who dropped off, or the people who are I don't even know why people do this. Why do they go onto a page just to hate? Like, don't, like, you're right, like, don't they have anything better to do? But instead you're trading the crumbs for the cake. You get the real great people to work with. And I hear this from other artists and creatives who work with clientele. It's like you really get to know and bond. Like, you can still stay in touch with clients you've worked with years ago, and like you really build really great relationships. Why not have it be people that are aligned with you?
Right.
Why not have it be people who feel safe with you? Because now they see like, this is someone who's going to get it because I'm in the same situation. And again, I think that you are able to set that for so many other parents, whether they're LGBTQ or not, but just people saying like, this person has values that I feel safe with. This person is going to be aligned with, whether or not they have family members that identify or are going through something similar, being able to be truly who you are, so that you do weed out the people that you do not need to be working with at all anyway.
Yeah. And I'm a small business. I'm one photographer. The maximum amount of wedding I can take on a year is 50. So I only need 50 followers out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Yeah. So then I only need 50 people who believe in me, and that's enough for, like, that's a lot for a year. Like I usually if like 30 is good. So yeah, like I don't care for the amount of people who don't know me or care for me. I have been sharing enough work that I believe that the right people would stay around with me.
I think you have to sort of be that way to keep going with the social media. Is like, if you're not authentic or true to yourself, it's really hard to show up, right? And I think you truly showing everyone like who you are and being able to do that it's a declaration of saying like, hey, take it or leave it, take it at face value or not. And like, I have nowhere near as many followers as you do, but like, even for me, it's just like, if you can't accept that this is like my story and this is where my mental health was, and then I don't need you here, I don't want you here, please unfollow, right? Like that, the number means nothing at the end of the day if you can't be surrounded by the people who actually need to be there.
Yeah.
So I love how you kind of like I feel like you've created this good mental health space for yourself.
I think that's the one thing, is like, you have to sometimes, but that's what I love about, Jasmine, Peggy, you guys is like platform, what you share, your podcast, your Instagram, is that, it is very niche in like, there's like group of people who going through this, but for those people, this is everything to them. Like, you don't need 1 million followers. If one person feel your podcast really beneficial for their mental health and what they're going through, navigating life and being a parent and also being Asian American, it is very niche, but very powerful and very important. And I think that's what I try to do with my business as well, is that I don't need 100,000 followers. I don't even know 90%, 99% of the people who follow me, they don't even know anything about me. They only see the part of what I share. And so I think if anyone who's listening and thinking about, want to share a part of your life, I whatever you feel comfortable sharing, is that don't think about being this creator content mindset, which is creating for others, creating for yourself. The right people would come to you.
I love that advice. That is like,
I just teared up a little.
I know. It's so true. It's about being authentic. And I think, especially for folks who grow up in the queer community, it's about like there's a coming out, but before you come out, you don't get to live authentically. And that doesn't feel good when we don't get to live our true selves. And so, kind of celebrating living authentically. And thank you so much for what you said about the podcast, too, because that really does matter. Is again, that representation, that authenticity of saying, why have so many Asian American Pacific Islander people like hidden their mental health for so long? Because it's only doing a disservice when we hide it. Why don't we share these stories? And I think that's what I love about your story and ours, because we are just both so passionate about that inclusivity. Because for us, we're like, mental health doesn't discriminate whether you're straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, whether you're, cisgender, male or female. So as we think about this, like just message of inclusivity in both your life and your story, what are some ways that you think folks can be more inclusive when it comes specifically to LGBTQ parents?
I think the one way to really support LGBTQ parents is honestly just, you don't have to assume anything. Like, you don't have to assume that in a gay couple or a lesbian couple that one is supposedly a mom and one is supposedly a dad, and who is more this way and who is more the other way. It could be both wearing multiple hats all the time. Is that it's okay to ask questions, like ask any questions. I think I'm speaking for myself here, and I don't want to speak for the whole community, but I just want people to learn more about us, that gay parents are parents. And so the more I can educate people, the more people can really understand what kind of things that struggles or really good things going on in our life, and that they can see that this is totally okay, that is totally normal, and that's totally doable for all the queer parents out there. And just, if you have questions, you can ask. Like, don't assume.
Yeah, good advice. These are just my personal curiosity is, what has been like the best part of having the twins, and what has been the hardest part so far?
I'm surprised that I'm not as tired as I thought I was going to be. Like, I'm the type that before they arrived, I would need my 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Like, if I don't sleep, I'll become cranky and I'm like, I can't do anything. But lately it's been a chunk of maybe 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours here and there. Still running my business full time. But just something about them, and like, no matter how tired we get, we just hold them, talk with them. Just being with them has been really, really fun. Seeing things through their eyes too has been really like wonderful in so many ways. It's just like, life doesn't need to be that serious all the time. There's beauty in such small moments, and those moments don't last long. Like, they are only 9 weeks right now, and they look totally different from when they first arrived. And so I can only see that they would keep changing. And so like, I don't want to forget those, each developmental stage of their life. It's been really just, honestly, people talk about this all the time. And before I had my own babies, I was like, I'll whatever. But yeah, they do grow fast, and they are just honestly bundles of joy. Like, nothing else seems to matter whenever I'm with them.
So sweet.
Yeah. We're so happy for you having 2 little bundles of joy, and we're so grateful that you got to kick off our season. Your story, I hope, will help some other parents feel seen that listen to our podcast. This season, we are asking all of our guests at the end of the episode, what would you tell yourself when you were maybe going through the hardest struggles? Maybe it was, and whatever that means for you, maybe it was when you were coming out in your business or even switching from nursing to this. What's the one piece of advice you would give old Henry from current Henry?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I would say that, you will have moments of just worries and anxiety through the roof. Like it will happen no matter what. And the only way through is through. I really think that you can't just ignore it. You have to face it and then just tackle it in a way that like, this is my life. This is the cards I've been dealt with. All I can do right now is do I take this or do I avoid it? And then later on wait for it to catch up with me. And I have learned that the more you take a hold, like really take ownership of like how you feel and your mental health, that's the only way that help us like build strength.
Yeah, those are good advice for everyone, I think, in any stage of life. So,
yay.
Thank you so much for your time today. Where should people go to find you? I mean, I've sort of mentioned your Instagram handle. Is there anywhere else you want people to go to look for you or find more information about you?
Yeah, if you guys like photography work, elopement, destination, wedding people who hike up mountains and do crazy things, you can follow me on Instagram at Henry's Diary. If you like parent stuff, just life moments, I post all of baby content on my TikTok, which is also at Henry's Diary, but I don't really post photography or work over there. It's mostly just fun moments of the twins and my husband.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, you guys really need it. If you don't follow him already or have not seen his work, it is amazing. I think you mentioned you've been to like 5 continents, soon to be 6. Is that right?
Yes.
For your wedding stuff. What continents are those, real quick?
So basically, Asia, North America, South America, Europe, Australia. I'm hitting Africa later this year for the first time, and so that would make it anything but Antarctica at the moment.
Do you want to go to Antarctica?
That's the ultimate dream.
Wow, that'd
but
be so cool.
I'm scared of height and I'm scared of open water, and in order to get there you have to get on this cruise ship that like go through rough like water, and I'm like unsure about that part. Plus it's quite expensive to get there, so I'm like slowly saving and see like when we can make this happen.
Someone has to have an elopement up in Antarctica.
I can't wait to see it. You would be the person to do it. So,
whoever is listening and want to elope in Antarctica, you know who to call.
Hey, there's some crazy rich Asians out there. So
yes.
All right. Thanks so much again, Henry.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We also wanted to add that if you are an LGBTQ parent who is looking for a support group, Postpartum Support International offers free weekly support groups for queer and trans parents. You can find more information at postpartum.net.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Healing the Tigress. The more we share these stories, the more we can help other AAPI mothers and partners. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to keep supporting this mission, please hit the subscribe button to the show and take a few seconds to leave a rating. An extra big thanks if you would also leave a review to boost our show visibility and help other AAPI folks find us.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Healing the Tigress, or even better, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Healing the Tigress podcast to support us more. Inside the Patreon, we will be offering more bonus episodes, sneak peeks, and a community for you to help shape our podcast too. Thanks for being here.
Healing the Tigress is produced and edited by Peggy and Jasmine.
Music for this show is remixed by Dr. Tony Huynh of Tony Mixes.
Our intro music is a cover of You and Me by Z Avi, played by our co-host Peggy.
Our outro music is a cover of Green Island Serenade, played by Jasmine's sister.
Cover art design is by Dr. Angela Chung.